Hello, I'm Brooke, one of your peers in ATM 101 Weather and Climate of Alaska. I'm reporting on a week of weather observations from March 22nd through March 26, 2016 from my backyard, located roughly a mile east from the University of Alaska Fairbanks campus. The local time that I took my observations, as well as my recordings from the digital thermometer, was at 5 p.m. Alaska Standard Time. My observations will be compared to the National Weather Service location of PAFA at the Fairbanks International Airport. Here's my observation sheet for my final day of observations on Saturday, March 26, 2016. This observation was taken at 5 p.m. and as you can see by the current temperature data and the max temperature data, 5 p.m. was the time of day my digital thermometer readings reached their max temperature point for both my right and left digital thermometer readings. The minimum temperatures were at 29.9 degrees Fahrenheit on the left digital thermometer and 30.2 degrees Fahrenheit on the right digital thermometer. The barometric pressure was approximately 1,000 millibars or 29.53 inches of mercury. There was a slight breeze from the west, which I measured to be at a 2 on the Beaufort scale. The sky was about 3/4 covered by cumulonimbus clouds with some patches of blue skies to the east. While there was no precipitation at this time, it was very overcast and within the next hour rain began to fall. Here you can see my max and min history throughout the week of weather observations, which I'll go into more detail when comparing them to the PAFA National Weather Service station. We're going to start by looking at the temperature variations between my personal observations and the National Weather Service observations for the week. Here is the plot of my temperatures and measurements throughout the week at 5 p.m. The National Weather Service temperature observations show temperatures generally trending higher throughout the week with a slight decrease on the 27th. On day 1, my recorded temperature was 37.4 degrees Fahrenheit on the left digital thermometer and 37.2 degrees Fahrenheit on the right digital thermometer, with no noticeable clouds from my location, no precipitation, and some light air from the south, which I measured to be at a 1 on the Beaufort scale. My left digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 39 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 9.7 degrees Fahrenheit. My right digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 39.9 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 10.1 degrees Fahrenheit. There was no National Weather Service data posted in the spreadsheet for this day to compare my data to, and when I attempted to pull it up online, it only showed the data for the last 3 days. On day 2, my recorded temperature was 37.2 degrees Fahrenheit on the left and right digital thermometer, with partly cloudy skies that appeared to cover the sky approximately 1/4 by cirrus clouds throughout, no precipitation, and a light breeze from the south, which I measured to be at a 2 on the Beaufort scale. My left digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 42.5 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 8.3 degrees Fahrenheit. My right digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 42.5 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 8.3 degrees Fahrenheit. The data from the National Weather Service station shows a temperature of 36 degrees Fahrenheit, which is slightly cooler than the 37.2 degrees I reported. On day 3, my recorded temperature was at 41.3 degrees Fahrenheit on the left and right digital thermometer, with partly cloudy skies that appeared to cover the sky approximately 1/4 by cirrus clouds throughout, no wind and no precipitation. My left digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 45.1 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 19.5 degrees Fahrenheit. My right digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 45.1 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 19.7 degrees Fahrenheit. The National Weather Service station shows a temperature of 45 degrees Fahrenheit, which is slightly warmer than the 41.3 degrees I reported. On day 4, my recorded temperature was 49.5 degrees Fahrenheit on the left and right digital thermometer, mostly cloudy skies that appear to cover the sky approximately 1/2 by cirrus and cumulus clouds, a light breeze from the west of approximately a 1 on the Beaufort scale, and no precipitation. My left digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 50.7 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 27.6 degrees Fahrenheit. My right digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 50.6 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 27.8 degrees Fahrenheit. The data from the National Weather Service station shows a temperature of 48 degrees Fahrenheit, which is slightly cooler than the temperature I recorded of 49.5 degrees Fahrenheit. On day 5, my recorded temperature was 41.7 degrees Fahrenheit on the left and right digital thermometers, with overcast skies containing cumulonimbus clouds covering approximately 3/4 of the sky, a slight breeze from the west of a 1 on the Beaufort scale, and no precipitation. My left digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 41.7 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 29.9 degrees Fahrenheit. My right digital thermometer read a maximum temperature of 41.7 degrees Fahrenheit and a minimum temperature of 30.2 degrees Fahrenheit. The data observed by the National Weather Service station shows a temperature of 41 degrees Fahrenheit, which was almost spot on with the temperature I recorded. My personal station observations matched fairly well with the National Weather Service during my week of observation. The maximum and minimum temperatures I recorded stayed within the same range of the National Weather Service with some slight variations. Overall, there's a warming trend reported by both my personal observations and the National Weather Service, with a slight decrease in temperature on my last day of observation. March 23rd shows the only cold minimum throughout the week, dropping to 8.3 degrees Fahrenheit from 10.1 degrees on the 22nd. The rest of the week's minimums continue to increase in temperature. Here we see the pressure plot for my week of weather observations. My personal pressure observations at 5 p.m. seem to follow a decreasing trend throughout the week, except for a spiked increase on the 24th. The National Weather Service observations seem to follow the same pattern. On the first day, the barometric pressure I viewed was 1,007 millibars, or 29.7 inches of mercury, which I was not able to compare to the National Weather Service as there was no data recorded. Second day dropped to 1,003 millibars, or 29.6 inches of mercury, which was slightly higher than the National Weather Service, who reported pressures of 1,002 millibars. The next day, we saw the only increase throughout the week of 1,006 millibars, or 29.7 inches of mercury, which showed a slight difference from the National Weather Service, who reported pressures of 1,005 millibars. The fourth day, I saw another drop to 1,001 millibars, or 29.6 inches of mercury, which differed slightly from the National Weather Service, who reported pressures of 1,000 millibars. On my final day of observation, the barometric pressure dropped ever so slightly to 1,000 millibars, or 29.5 inches of mercury, which was spot on with the National Weather Service. According to my observations, we see a low pressure system moving throughout the week. Moving on to the TV weather maps for my week of weather observations. On March 22nd, here we have the TV weather map showing the surface weather conditions. We can see a 970 millibar low pressure system to the south and working its way north, a high pressure system of 1,028 millibars way out to the west of the state. Snow showers expected on the western side of the state. Skies are fairly clear over the interior. On March 23rd, here we have the TV weather map showing the surface weather conditions. We can see a low pressure system of 977 millibars along the southern areas of the Gulf. Currently, Fairbanks shows no significant weather and no clouds, which can be depicted by the darker areas across the state. That high pressure system still continuing to work its way northwest, currently at 1,020 millibars. We can also see a low pressure system to the southwest of the state at 999 millibars and working its way northeast. On March 24th, here we have the TV weather map showing the surface weather conditions. Low pressure still working its way northeast through the interior of Alaska, with a front appearing across the state. Looking a little further out, a 997 millibar low is working its way northeast. Some rain located on the southeastern panhandle. A cloud cover appears to be settling in over the interior of Alaska. On March 25th, here we have the TV weather map showing the surface weather conditions. The low pressure we've been seeing all week seems to have a slight movement from the previous day. The front continues to stretch even farther across the state than in the previous day. Snow showers expected along the western part of the state and rain scattered throughout the southern area along the Gulf. The 997 millibar low continues to work its way northeast towards the southeastern part of the state. Fairbanks and the interior still experiencing significant cloud cover. On March 26th, here we have the TV weather map showing the surface weather conditions. We can see an occluded low in the northern part of the Gulf along the southeastern panhandle with some rain along the southeast. The northern interior of the state still experiencing a weak low of 1,000 millibars with a stationary front. Along the Aleutian Islands, another 982 millibar low with an occluded and warm front. The interior of Fairbanks experiencing a significant cloud cover. In conclusion, Fairbanks and the interior saw some cloudy skies towards the end of the week, which I suspect was a result from the front moving northward towards the interior of the state. Now looking at the GOES maps for Wednesday, March 23rd, 2016. The low pressure system located in the Gulf of Alaska is clearly visible with a cloud formation moving with it. We can see that there are some clear skies located centrally to the low pressure, as well as across the interior. The infrared image shows clearly the difference in cloud cover through the state, with the bright white clouds being associated with the occluded front and the dark spot indicating clearer skies in these areas right here. Here in the water vapor image, we can see there's moisture in the air over most of the state. The obvious center of the low is visible right here, and the corresponding clear skies that we see in the other images are also visible in the water vapor images, as the darker images depict this, and it can be compared between all three images. So with that, I conclude my screencast for Unit 10. Thanks for listening.